Welcome to another episode of the Tower 26 Speed Racer Podcast. I'm Joe Mitski here with Coach Gerry Rodriguez. Coach, how you doing?
I'm good. I had my first open water swim of the season yesterday evening.
You know, you were telling me about that before we came on air, and I thought, are you crazy? You're nuts. When did you go? Here, I'm not saying you're nuts because you went in open water. I'm saying when you chose to, you had all day to go. When did you choose to go?
After 5 p.m.
You just are a sucker for punishment. Because I know when the wind gets up there in Santa Barbara, it is like getting right there, slapped in the face.
I went local. I went local. Your town.
Oh, you were down here?
Went down to Manhattan Beach, and man, it was freaking bumpy.
Yeah.
Pushing me around like a rag doll.
Just getting ready for that peer-to-peer swim that's happening August 3rd, 2nd, 3rd, something like that?
Usually the first Sunday of August, and it reminded me of back when I was racing a lot.
Yep.
And I used to, that was part of my training. I'd go there a couple times a week, specifically in the afternoons, late afternoons, to swim in that chop.
Just to get used to the chop. Yeah.
Well, it builds power.
Yeah.
It helps you build power. And boy, you've got to learn how to navigate through a lot of heavy bumpiness. Let me tell
you know what? It's funny you say that because when I've had my best races, I've actually done a lot of swimming later in the afternoon, and actually one of my best races was Ironman Arizona a couple years ago, and I had a great swim. I think I swam like a 58, and about a month before that, we brought the family to Hawaii, and I was doing a ton of swimming later in the day where it was super choppy, same thing.
Yeah.
And I came out of that, I was never stronger than that week of swimming I had in Hawaii coming out of that.
Well, I haven't done that in a while. Beats the crap out of you.
Sore today, huh? Lift your arms. You're not gonna be doing your stretch cord demo on this podcast, are you?
You know, for a guy who I have these things called vestibular migraine, so it triggers inner ear stuff, nauseousness. I mean, that bumping around and moving around, it was like, whoa.
Yep.
And it had me think about a whole lot of things I haven't thought about in a while that I want to talk about that to benefit, because we're in that season, right?
Yep.
It's open water racing time. It's triathlon racing season. So I want to talk about some of the skills that you require, what's needed, what to do, what not to do.
And this is why I think this is why it's key that you keep swimming. You do workouts like that. I keep swimming. I keep doing workouts. I keep leading bike workouts because we can coach all day long, but when we're out there doing it ourselves and we're absorbing what we're feeling, it just helps us be better coaches.
Well, I was thinking about a lot of athletes, things I read that's put out in the market by other entities or coaches, and think some that are valuable and some that are, I think, need to be corrected.
Yeah. Well, that's why you're out there doing it, so you can absorb all of that. But speaking of the peer-to-peer swim, I've never done the peer-to-peer swim. Do you know that?
You haven't?
And guess what? You heard it here first. I'm on the start list this year. I'm going to do it.
Damn, all right.
No wetsuit version. I'm going to wear my little Tower 26 Speedo, thong version of the Speedo, and I will be out there doing the peer-to-peer August, whatever it is, the first weekend in August. First time ever.
There's a visual, guys.
That's why we get all the viewers. They're all looking in. Hey, is he wearing it now? Is he wearing it now? No, not this time. But we got a lot to cover in this show, but I just want to talk about something real quick. We talk about the season-long progression, right? We hit our technical phase, our foundation phase, open water skill building, race prep, race ready, then we repeat it. So we're building the entire machine.
Right.
I was having a conversation with an athlete, a very elite athlete from a different sport yesterday. I was talking to this athlete for a long time.
Could you say what sport? No.
Football.
Football, okay.
American football. And the athlete, they do explosive training all the time, right? It's just boom, quick hit out, because that's the way that they play, right?
Yes.
It's just what's the length of a football, American football play? What is it, like 5 seconds
right.
From hike to tackle? It's
right.
very short.
Yep.
So that's the way they train. But I was talking to this athlete and saying, okay, how much cardio work do you do? How much zone 1, zone 2 work do you do in addition to all the explosive stuff? And he looked at me like I had three eyes.
You're man in the moon, right?
There was no talk in all the years that this athlete has been playing professional football with all the strength coaches and all the millions and millions of dollars invested in these athletes and these programs. There's no talk about zone 1, zone 2 training.
It's interesting you bring this up because just yesterday, were you talking to this person yesterday?
Yeah.
Yesterday, I was thinking about basketball, and then it got me onto football because I know you know a number of these professional football players. And from a rehab perspective, because you got to think their injuries, most of their injuries are generally lower body injuries, right? Knees, ankles, hips, because they get hit a lot and they get taken out. They're always limping off the field, and then they're out for a game or two or half a season, whatever it may be. So if you're injured in the lower body, could you run?
No. Not going to be running.
Could you ride a bike? Depending, right, where the injury is. They should all be, and I tried to do this many years ago, they should all be swimming.
Yeah, totally.
All of them.
Totally.
Which will achieve your zone 1, right? Zone 1, zone 2, cardio, and builds that nice big foundation that you're talking about. And I tried this back in the 80s with the Lakers and made the pitch. God, that tells you how old I am. 1980s Pat Riley era of Los Angeles Lakers that just got sold, by the way.
Oh, yeah, big money.
Yeah, big money.
10 bill.
And tried to get swimming integrated for all these reasons. And mine was more rehab related. But to your point, this is not a surprise to me.
Yeah, and I was just talking to this athlete, and I was like, if you focus on this type of training, whether it's swimming or riding the bike, maybe not so much running. These are big dudes who have a lot of stress on the joints. But if you can figure out your 60 to 75% of threshold heart rate, and you sit on the bike for an hour, a couple days a week, that's going to allow you to have such an edge up on the competition where you can go one play after another, and not tire out.
Jim, we should be coaching these guys swimming. And I know you just said bike, but it should be 2 sessions a week. It doesn't have to be more than 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay? One, lengthen out muscles that are constant. When all you're doing is a bunch of contractions, right? Promote recovery.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's
twice a week.
I said to this guy,
and it'll make them better athletes because they become more finessed.
I said we should be the head strength coach for any football team you play on, because maybe I don't know the tactics or the way they do their play calling, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
I know if you want to get the most out of that performance, and if you want to drill that other team in the ground that's just doing explosive work, hit that zone 1, zone 2 training on top of all that explosive work, and you just one play. There'd be hurry up offense nonstop.
I'm surprised actually that it's none.
And then another path we went down is nutrition. I mean, precision hydration. I've been recommending to all these guys,
right? Just
because they don't know their nutrition. They don't know
Costco water.
Costco, yeah. Put the precision hydration in the Costco water. They don't know electrolytes. They don't know how many carbs they need an hour. And maybe carbs aren't so important in a sport like that. Maybe a couple gels throughout a game, but staying topped off in their electrolytes and how many milligrams they need throughout the competition, before and after. These are things that you'd think the nutritionist would key in on, and there's just same thing, 3 eyes. They didn't look at me like, what the hell is this guy talking about?
They've gotten my niece, my wife's Baltimore Ravens, or did, and she was in charge of filling their bottles with stuff. So I know they've gotten better than they used to be.
Well, that's fun. I know she started with them last year. And one of the guys that I train with is on the Ravens. And I told him, I gave him precision hydration. And I said, you go take this when you go to camp. And they go to training camp in Baltimore, in a swamp out there. And this guy's 350 pounds offensive lineman. He took it. He said it changed his game. No joke. Precision hydration 1,500. He said he took it, changed his game. Worlds are colliding. Your niece was there seeing him put it into his bottle. And there it is. Coach Jim, Coach Gerry have an effect on the NFL already.
Well, let's.
Came out. No, we're good. We're good. We lost power for a second on our sound, so we're back.
I thought we had to start over. I was getting it.
Let's start over. We just got it pulled out for a second. I don't know what happened there. But so go ahead. You said
how long was the power
just
out?
About 5 seconds.
Oh, that's it? Okay.
So Goodell is top of his game, what you're saying?
Well, I think football is a sport that it's so marquee and well run. I mean, this is truly done well, where the athletes are always, they're involved in their own foundations. They're raising money for all different causes. That guy, Goodell, I believe is the commissioner's name, right?
Yeah.
I think he's done a remarkable job in the last decade with the sport.
Yeah, and he gets a lot of crap, but he's the head, right? The head's always going to get crap.
Because you're the guy at the top, and you get more crap when you're doing great stuff. Look at Tom Brady.
Yeah.
I mean, The guy's the most awesome football athlete, tall, good-looking guy. He gets the most heat because he's the most visible.
Well, and that's the thing.
So,
you want it to be successful. Sometimes lay the hammer down and make people unhappy. But ultimately, I think the NFL is doing pretty well right now.
It's incredible.
Okay, so what are we going to talk about? What did we talk about last episode?
Well, we
didn't
did
get into that yet.
open water introduction, right? It's beginning of the. It's not the beginning, but basically it's the fat portion of the curve to do with racing season. Most of our races are June, July, August, September, right?
Yep.
Wrapping up in October. We wrap up in October using Kona Ironman as the sort of the last formal race of the season. So you have this bulk of races. So think of your bell-shaped curve. You have races on either end of those months, but they're a small amount of races, and then your bulk, especially in the Northern Hemisphere, your bulk of races are occurring right now.
Yep.
So we need to focus on the skills for open water. So we did an introduction of some of those skills, and this time I want to go into a little bit more detail on the specifics of how to. With some of those skills.
Yeah, and it's you got some great videos you showed me before we got on air of athletes that you see doing it right, and it's funny when athletes swim for you, they all do it right. When they swim for me, it looks like three-headed monsters going the sight, and what direction they're going in, who the hell knows. But when they swim for you, the sighting looks perfect.
Yeah, well, guess what? I was telling you, I'll tell everybody here that 43 years I've been doing this. I learned something 2 weeks ago.
There you go.
And I learned something with how to teach something that I thought how I was explaining it was the most adequate way, and I was missing an element. And so I want to talk about that today, because I was seeing, as much as you're teasing me about they're doing a good job at my workout and not yours, fluid sighting is difficult.
Yeah.
Right? It's clunky. Most of the athletes are horrible at it. Most of them. The majority are not good sighters. And they lift and they look and they wait and then they turn, and it's just very, choppy. Yeah. There's no fluidity to it.
Yeah, you want to work it in the stroke where you don't even miss a beat. You don't even know there's a sight there.
Exactly. And that's not the case. And I finally figured out why.
Well,
you think after 40-something years of doing this...
Let's not leave them on edge any longer. What have you figured out?
Well, I made an erroneous assumption, that every time... So let's back up and go through the mechanics. Can we do that? The mechanics, and then we'll show it.
Slow it down. Let's talk about it.
So I'll explain it, and then we'll show a video after. So sighting, the most effective methodology to use for open water swimming and triathlon swimming is what's called a lift, look, and breathe method. Lift, look, and breathe. Now, you can do water polo style sighting where you just lift your head up and you're swimming arm stroke after arm stroke and your head's up all the time. That is not recommended by this coach for the majority of athletes. More elite swimmers, those who have swim backgrounds in collegiate water polo and so on, you guys can use that. You've been trained how to do that. But us mere mortals, it's too demanding to do it, and especially if you're in a non-wetsuit race, it'll just crush you. It's not going to be effective. So lift, look, and breathe. I call it silky sighting. So let's go through step by step. And since the majority of people, believe it or not, are right-sided breathers, I'll do it for a right-sided breather, then I'll do it for a left-sided breather. So if you're typically breathing on your right side, right after you've taken your breath to the right, and your right hand has entered the water, and it's extended out front, your left hand is finishing the stroke at the back, right?
Yep.
As that left arm starts coming, now your head just went back into the water. As your left arm is starting to recover, come around back to the front, whether you're doing the high elbow recovery or you're doing a more circular type recovery, as the arm is coming around, we start lifting, 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 lifting. And at the entry point, when the fingers enter at the front, that's the highest point of the head position. And that's when you're looking. All of this, Jim, takes place in about a third of a second.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's up, 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 lift, look, get your spot, and then the right arm's coming over and you immediately turn to the right to inhale. It's called a lift, look, breathe. And once it's silky, it's just one movement. Lift, look, and breathe. Lift, look, and breathe.
Right.
And it's lift, look, and inhale. That's where we inhale. The mistake that I was making, or the lack of knowledge, it's a lack of education. What I notice most athletes are doing, as the arm is coming over and they're lifting up, they're trying to inhale then. They're trying to take their breath in then.
They think their head coming out of the water means inhale.
Exactly. And what you need to be doing then is expelling, because you just took your air in. So the moment your hand, the left hand in this example, if you're a right-sided breather, the left hand exits the water and it's coming around and your head's coming up, you are blowing your air out. Some of it, bubbles are going to be in the water, and some of it, if your mouth comes out high enough, it's going to be in the air. Okay?
Yeah.
So you're expelling air as the left arm is coming around while you're sighting for your target. Expel, heads at this highest point, and we'll go over this in a video and show it, and then turn to the right to begin inhaling.
So you keep the inhale exactly where it is every other stroke.
Yep.
But you got to get the exhale in that entire movement as you're sighting.
As the arm's recovering back to the front. So that's for the right-sided breathers. If you're a left-sided breather, you breathe more comfortably to your left. You breathe under your left armpit. As your right hand exits the water, on the right arm's coming around in the air, coming back, and then you lift, 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 lift. And as you're lifting, you're blowing your air out. You're blowing your air out. And then you turn to the left side to capture your breath. That element that I had negated to put in explaining for freaking 43 years. And once I started doing it 2 weeks ago, because I'm talking about lift, look, and breathe, and I'm going through the mechanics of everyone, and there are folks that are getting it, and then some are not. I realized, I got to think about this more carefully.
Yeah.
Is there something I'm missing? And now when I put it in, we'll show the video in a while, everyone nailed it. Everybody nailed it. And I mean from our swimmers that are swimming 105, 102, 104s in workouts for hundreds, your faster athletes, to your 115, 120s, to your 130s to 2 minutes. Everybody. Lift, look, and breathe.
Well, I think I made a list of a bunch of stuff that adult onset swimmers tend to have a tougher time grasping, right? And one of those notes that I made is exhaling when your head's in the water. Right? A lot of newer swimmers think, okay, I got to exhale and inhale when my head turns, right?
Yes.
You have to do it all in that head turn, right? So by you focusing on this, exhale, 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 then you turn to inhale, I think that's not only going to help with that fluidity of the sighting, but it's also going to help them grasp, oh, you know what, I need to exhale all this air that I just inhaled. It's just focusing on those little things that a lot of us take for granted being swimmers for so long, right? We got to exhale all that air that we just inhaled. We can't expect to do it all right here or all when that head's out of the water.
And silly me for not thinking of this. It took me this long. This is how slow I am at times.
Well,
because the most important thing in any sport is breathing, right? You can, no knock on precision hydration. You can have the best nutrition. It doesn't matter if you don't have oxygen.
Oh, yeah?
Okay?
That's where the hyperventilation happens.
Exactly.
That's where
So nailing down when and for how long, the duration, right? When you inhale, when you exhale is important. So in sighting, you inhale at your regular place that you always do, even if you weren't sighting, and then you're expelling when the arm is recovering to the front on the sight. You are expelling then. Your head's coming up, you're blowing your air out. So your head's on the water, and as it's coming up, you're blowing air out, and you may even get where your mouth is out of the water completely. And we're going to talk about this, the high lifting versus coaches that talk about alligator eyes, okay? Let's get to that at some point today.
Well, we'll show it in the video, and you'll see the difference.
So, little tip that it took me a
that's
long time.
That's the thing that you say, okay, it took a long time to figure it out, but
to explain it.
It's hard also, or not to explain it, to think, hey, we need to explain this to the athletes, but it's all these little things that, we're trying to focus and master the movement of it, but it's just a little breathing that could totally throw. When you're swimming, we need to breathe the same way we're breathing right now.
Correct.
There's never any holding breath. There's never
a rhythm.
Right. You're never getting behind on your breath. It needs to be as relaxed. And it's obviously as you go faster, that breathing rate increases, just like when you're running or when you're cycling. But it never changes from the way we're breathing right now. So if you're going into the swimming and you're working on the sighting and you find yourself, you turn to the right and you're trying to do it all, it's wrong. You need to know, hey, it needs to be a fluid sighting, just as it's a fluid breathing, just as it's a fluid sighting and it's a fluid stroke.
No, you're right. And I know you guys all wonder what I do in my spare time, right?
You just work on sighting. You're like, hey, Elizabeth, move over there. I'm going to sight you over there. Move over there.
So last few weeks, I've spent a ton of time watching two things. Probably 100 1,500-meter races, okay? 1,500-meter track races on the track, men and women, going back from 1972 to present, maybe even over 100. I spent hours and hours and hours looking at, because I love tactical racing. And the 1,500 to me on the track, or the men's and women's mile on the track, the most tactical races. Or everything's condensed into 3.5 to 4 minutes, right? So love those races. And then I spent a bunch of time looking at, since this is what we're talking about today, open water races. So I went back and reviewed the Olympic in Paris, an Olympic 10K men and women swim, okay? Mm-hmm. As expected, your top 3 or 4 finishers, gold, silver, bronze, men's and women's, beautiful siders. Well-skilled, lift, look, and breathe, smooth, silky. Folks after that, especially as you're coming in later in the pack, 15th to 30th, Jim, they were horrible.
Wow.
I mean, when I mean horrible, technically unsound, poor mechanics. And it shows that we're still not doing a good enough job at teaching this, or their coaches are not building in sighting into workouts.
Yeah.
And they need to be built into your pool workouts first. That's where you build a skill where it's a more placid environment, right? It's easier. And then once you acquire that skill, then you can export that to your dynamic environment, open water.
Yep. Yeah, and if you haven't mastered it, it's like anything. When we're doing strength work and you want to introduce a strength move, right? If we're doing squats and you want to progress to one-legged squats and then one-legged squats on a Bosu ball, you don't just go one-legged squats on the Bosu ball. You got to master the two-leg squat first, and then you got to master the one-leg squat, and then you progress to the one-leg squat on the Bosu ball.
I love the Bosu ball, by the way.
It's right. There's one right there. Which I have you. You can balance on that the rest of this episode
if
you want. So, same thing. We progress. We stay in, get in that stable environment of the pool, and then progress to the open water. But master it in the pool first, and then try the more dynamic situation of going to the open water.
So the next episode I don't want to do today because I want to show the videos and go into some detail, but I want to talk about the tactics of open water and when sighting is needed more frequently versus less frequently, and also when to draft, when not to draft. So let's make a note for the tactical elements of it. But today, let's keep the focus.
Writing it down. Tactics.
Yeah.
With a K or a C? Okay, got it.
And let's just stick to the mechanics of sighting, and I want to show our video.
Yeah, let's show that
Could we do
video
that now?
and see. Let's see what. Yeah, I know you got some great videos of your Santa Barbara crew up there doing sighting in the
this
pool.
is just our group that started.
Let me know when you're ready. I'll switch it over to the video, and we're gonna talk it through. If you guys listen on the audio version, don't worry. We'll paint the picture with our words.
We're ready.
And there you go. All right, we're up. So we got a video of the pool right now. Got your lane 1 swimmers. So you have.
So these are our athletes that are swimming in workouts a minute to 108-ish per 100 speed, right? And let me make sure I got the volume turned down here.
Yeah, volume.
And we're swimming 100s here in workout. And you'll notice, and I have this at regular speeds, everyone's sighting. And on this particular 100, they're required to sight 3 times per 25. It's 12 sights. Now, this was a more intensive 100 effort.
It looks like they're working pretty hard.
They're working pretty hard, and we're doing this at it's like a higher intensity, but frequency of 3 sights per 25.
So you have Kyle there swimming first. I noticed that bald head. That's Sten
that's
second.
Sten, yep.
And then
this is Andrew right behind, and then that's Jason Smith. None of these 4 athletes, by the way, and these athletes are all 40 to 50 years old. None of these athletes have swim backgrounds. They did not swim in high school or college, okay? To my knowledge. So let's go through this slow-mo. So here's Kyle, the first person we're looking at right here on the center of your screen. And let's bring him along slowly. We should be getting a sight anywhere around here. Yep, here we go. Okay, so Kyle is a right-sided breather. So the left hand, as the left hand is exiting the water, here it is, left hand coming up, left hand coming around, over, head's coming up, head's coming up, head's coming up. And right when the fingertips enter the water, that's the highest position of the head, and that's where the sighting occurs. Now, I want you guys to take a really careful look at this. Right, I'm going to circle this for us. Where is my circle rule is not showing up in here. That's odd. Well, let's use the squiggly line. Right here, you'll notice Kyle's head.
Look at that. Wow.
Right?
That
is completely out of the water. In fact, his mouth is cleared, his chin is cleared, the water, right? And Jim, you're going to hear about this is not what you should do. Yeah. Okay? You're going to read about this in your triathlon publications.
Say this is too high.
This is too high.
His head's way out. He's got his chin out of the water.
Out of the water, okay? And the hand's entering, the head's at this highest point, and I like this. And we're going to talk about why. The moment he enters, there's the head turning, and he catches his breath at the the normal position, right? On the right side. Back there again. Let's see if we get a closer view. Nope. Now let's take Sten, who's right behind them.
So Sten's the next swimmer in the lane. He's about halfway down the lane.
I'm going to blow that up just a bit. And Sten's coming over. And here's Sten. Sten's a left-sided breather. So as his right hand exits the water right there, the head starts coming up, 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 up. Hand enters, head's at the highest point, right there. His mouth's out of the water also.
Chin is just touching the water.
So his entire face is out of the water. Now I'm going to back up. This is what most coaches say you should do. It should be right there.
Right, just
right?
eyes.
Just the eyes only.
Backed up, stopped it, right? So the eyes are just looking up?
Yep, that's what most coaches, or at least what I read about in triathlon magazines.
So they would say, okay, turn and breathe from that position.
I completely disagree.
Totally disagree. And I'll tell you why even more in a minute, because I want to get into something else here after this.
So he enters, hand enters at the highest point of the viewing, entire face, and then turns to breathe. Let's go to the third guy, Andrew. Take a look.
Andrew's swimming.
There you go.
There it is.
Yep.
He's going the other way. Sten was going to the left. Andrew's going to the right.
Right-sided.
Good right side.
Left hand's coming out. Lift. Head. Lift. 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 Boom. Entire face out. Right?
Yep.
Hand entered. Turn to breathe.
Fitting image of each other. That's
Beautiful,
great.
right?
Yeah.
Now let's go back here and take a look at Jason.
There he is. Look at that. Nice recovery. Fingertips first.
Now we're going to see something of lower lifting. There we go. Just the goggles, right?
Yep.
Just the goggles. And then, so he sighted, and it worked.
Just the guys.
Here we go again. A closer view. Just the goggle. Okay, now let's go back to us for a moment, if we can do it. And then we'll come back to this in a moment. Okay. So let's, I don't think sighting or how to sight, the mechanics of sighting on the mechanics of head lifting needs to be binary, where from the perspective of it's not either or. It's not you should only have your head high or you should only have your head low. Meaning most of the stuff you'll read in triathlon magazines, it's just have the eyes above the water like we were seeing with Jason, the last one, right? That's sort of the skill they try to teach or write about, and then turn. We don't have to not learn to do that. I think we should.
Right.
Because we're going to have conditions where the water is completely flat, lake-like, swimming pool-like, like in between the lane lines, where the water is quite static and undynamic. And just lifting the eyes above will give you opportunity to see the buoy, or see the marker that you're looking for. The problem is, in the great majority of races, unless you are, even if it's flat water, only the athletes that are going first, your pros, are going to have still water. Anybody after that, the water, turbulence has been created by the athletes ahead of you.
Fighting for air.
Exactly. So you're always going to have some bumpiness. Now let's go through and I know you and I didn't spend a lot of time in is it trigonometry and in school,
Yeah,
right?
no.
Angles, right?
What is that?
What is? I don't even know how to spell it, right? So if you lifted your eyes, your head, just 2 inches, where your eyes are 1 inch above the water, and that's it, and there's a wave of bumpiness 6 inches only. Yeah. Only 6 inches, Jim, which is nothing. I swam in 3-foot swells yesterday, 3 to 5 foot swells yesterday, okay? Something that's just 6 inches up. So I'm here, and that's out there 6 feet ahead and only 6 inches up. You do an angle that goes up like this, and if you're shooting at something, to look at something that's 200 meters out, that object that's 200 meters out needs to be about 25 feet high. For you to be able to see it.
It's like a beautiful mind over here with this guy.
It's just, you need to angle this out. Otherwise, you're not going to see it. And we don't have 25-foot buoys, generally.
No, and that's the thing. You look at athlete after athlete, they tell me, okay, swim, bike, run. Bike run was great. I had such a tough time sighting in the water. I couldn't see anything. Couldn't see the buoys. And in Ironman, there's buoys every 100 meters, and they can't see the buoys. So you're right. That chop comes up the slightest bit, you're not going to be able to see those buoys if those eyes are getting high enough. So we got to learn to sight and lift the entire head up as another skill, not the only skill also, as with low eyes. We need to have low eyes, medium height, and then the head comes all the way out. And maybe if you're just starting, if you're just learning sighting, maybe you could just get your eyes out. you got to get the comfort, you got to get the strength, you got to get the feel, and then as you get that, you can work on getting that head higher and higher and higher. But there's been so many races that I've been in, I'm like, where the hell is that freaking buoy? Where the hell I swear that buoy moved. It's just because I'm not getting my head above that trigonometry that you're talking about.
From waterline to the tip of the Manhattan Beach Pier. Jim, how tall do you think that is?
I don't know, 200 feet? I don't know.
150 to 200 feet. That's my guess. Yeah. 150 to 200 feet. Probably every third sighting I took, I couldn't see the Manhattan Pier. Mm-hmm. That's how bumpy. Yeah, and I was in 3 to 4 foot swells.
Yeah.
Right? Can't see it, and I'm lifting my head darn high.
Yeah.
So if I sat there with alligator eyes, all I'm doing is swallowing water. Okay.
But you got to practice it because that's a lot of stress on your lower traps, on your upper traps. It's a lot of stress on your thoracic spine, the back of your neck. You got to practice it. You got to adapt the muscles and the joints to that stress and that load of sighting every 8 to 10 strokes, 6 to 8 strokes.
Can we switch back
here? You got to
here?
keep practicing it, practice. So then it just becomes so natural and your body's adapted to it come race day.
So I want to go here and let me say why we're doing this. Those are fast athletes, and I don't want you guys looking at this thinking, "Hey, that's just the fast guys, and I can't do that," right? So I'm going to go through I put our group yesterday into sort of 3 categories: our faster athletes, our moderate athletes, and our sort of more not necessarily beginning, but athletes that have like zero swim experience. They didn't have swim backgrounds. They are your 130 to 210 per 100 yards athletes. So here's your medium group. And so I'll back this up just a tad. Look at it's the middle lane we're looking at. Normal speed here. This is Jamie and Mike. And again, Jamie's in his, I think, upper 40s. Mike's in his mid 50s. So these are seasoned athletes. And
nice sight by Jamie
Let's take a look at Jamie.
Yeah.
So sight
Jamie's
there.
about halfway down the lane.
Pink cap coming up. Up. Now, Jamie's a little late. He should have started lifting that head a little bit sooner up.
So his head was still in the water when his left arm started entering the water.
Yeah.
So he didn't put that head up early enough.
Right. But he still reached his mouth's out of the water.
Yeah, he got it up there. Yeah.
Hands entered, right? And then you're going to see him turn to start capturing the breath to his normal right side. Mm-hmm. Okay? Mike, who tends to swim with a high head anyway, right behind him. There's Mike. It's back up.
So Mike's right behind Jamie there.
And he's a left-sided breather. Right arm's coming around. Head starts coming up. Enter. Goggles out. Well, a lot of white water splashing there. Couldn't really tell, but there he is catching his breath under his armpit, right?
Right, yeah.
And we might catch him here again a little tighter.
Back up there for a second because I want to show you something. So he just had his eyes. He didn't really get his head too high out. Just his eyes, right?
Yep.
But you also notice, if you back up and you watch Mike, and he gets his eyes out of the water, but because he's creating so much splash with that right arm entering, it's splashing right into his eyes. So he's going to have a really tough time seeing anything.
Right there,
It's like someone's taking water and just splashing it right into your face. You can't see anything when someone splashed water in your face. So one thing I would say with Mike is he's got to clean up that entry or widen out the entry to help clear the splash out of the face.
I like it. Well stated. And
if you look at those faster swimmers, all of them had a very clean entry, and they had nothing but clear vision to wherever they were sighting.
And here's our 1:30 to 2-minute swimmers, right?
Good sight
This is Bob and Kara right behind Bob, right there. And Chris just started swimming. Total new swimmer.
So these are some good sights, these guys.
So let's go a little slow motion on Karen here. Right hand entering.
So these would be considered, like 2 minute per 100 swimmers that Jerry's showing right now?
Karen is in workouts about 140 per 100.
140 to 2 minute in this lane.
Right arm's coming around, head's coming up. Highest point, mouth out.
There you go.
Enter, and then turn to breathe. It's beautiful, right? So let's get the Bob.
So remember, guys, if you're listening to this on audio, we're going to be doing. This is on our Tower 26 YouTube channel too. This video, this podcast is live, it's recorded on the YouTube channel. It's live right now. So. And
I'm super proud of Bob. Bob's one of the athletes started last year with us, 65 years old ish, and 105 for a 50. and he went 118 for his all-out 100 2 months ago.
That's some gains. That's a Coach Rodriguez effect.
So here it is, right arm coming out. He's going to start lifting the head. Lift, lift, lift. Goggles out. Hand entering. Entire head out. Right there. Mouth up.
Yeah.
Yep. And then turn to breathe. That's the lift, look, and breathe, baby.
There you go.
And then Kara right behind. And Kara is late. So this is good to show not everyone's nailed it down. So here's Kara's left arm coming out, and now the head should be lifted. Lifting, lifting, and it's not, and only now she starts lifting, and Kara and I talked about this actually last week. Interesting, it's good to pick this up here. And now she's entering, and then she's gonna lift too late.
Yeah,
right?
she lifted when that hand was extended out in front of her, and that's...
This is the most common mistake that we see, including at the Olympic level, where she's gonna breathe, inhale and exhale at the front. Right there. It's an inhale and an exhale, and she makes a turn, but it's too late.
Yep.
So, and here's Chris, just started up with us a couple months ago. Right hand coming out, head's coming up, head's coming up, head's coming up. Sight, entire face out, and then turn to breathe.
It's great.
Yep.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, and if you're not doing it right, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like smooth. It doesn't feel fluid. So, if it doesn't feel fluid, we got to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
So good. That's some good examples. And if you guys pick up the Triathlon Swimming Master Open Water Swimming by Coach Gerry here, on pages 122 and 123, they go over sighting, takes a picture by picture, so you get that visual representation in the book. Triathlon Swimming Master Open Water Swimming with the Tower 26 method by Coach Gerry. We were at Barnes & Noble this week.
That's right. You sent me a photo of that.
I go look in the sports section, front and center, sitting right there. I say, oh, Mason, Maddie are there. I'm like, hey, look at, you want to see Dad in the book? There's Dad. There's pictures of me, how not to swim, and then there's my little bio in the back. I go, hey, who's that guy? Uncle Gerry, there he is. So then later on, they're playing with all the toys. All of a sudden, where the hell did Mason go? Right? He disappears. We look over. He's over grabbing Gerry and Jim's book from the shelf. He's so proud that we're in the book in Barnes & Noble.
That's sweet.
Barnes & Noble, Amazon, wherever you get your books, you can get that book. Triathlon Swimming, Master Open Water Swimming with the Tower 26 method. So good stuff. Do you want to get into the workout of the day? What are you thinking here?
I want to go through a couple quick little things if we could.
Quick
Do we have
snippets.
time?
Let's go. We got to touch it.
So I brought a white swim cap. Why did I bring a white swim cap? Because when you go swim in open water, guys, do not wear dark colored swim caps. It's more difficult to see you. And for you guys that are swimming in areas that may have crafts, such as whether it's boats or jet skis or people on paddle boards, whatever it may be, it's hard to see you with dark colored caps. So ideal, have a white cap, have a orange.
We got pink caps here on the cover of the Triathlon Swimming book.
Yeah, pink, orange, something that's illuminating.
What do you think of those buoys that open water swimmers swim with? They go around their waist.
I think they're great. I think it's a high level of safety. I'm glad to see those are being used. And in fact, there are races around the world now that are race directors that are requiring them in races. So it's another safety element.
Can we put a motor in one of those for me?
Right.
A little fan, shoot me along.
The challenge that those would bring, by the way, would be at the start of a race, if you have a land start and you have to run into the water and there's surf, you're going to have a difficult time getting beneath surf because, one, you're in your wetsuit. That's difficult enough to get deep. And then, two, you got this floating device that's going to make it even more difficult for you to get under. So you'll have some challenges on a race start that's on land. But for water starts and where it's point to point,
and then if I was swimming with you, I could pick it up, lasso it around you, and pull you back to me. That might work too.
You literally do the coach lasso thing.
I also see you have one of the any buoys over there too. I know we spoke about that last episode. We didn't have one on us, but you wanted to show that.
And the open water requires a tremendous amount of skill and power. And we really need to develop two things: core power, or strengthen your core, and a more powerful upper body. So core strength, a couple of things, or one thing in particular to do, a ton of butterfly kicking on your back. So just get your fins on.
Butterfly kicking on your back.
Butterfly kicking on your back. You don't have to do this without fins. Use your fins, get your hands above your head, and it's butterfly kicking on your back, all core, from sternum all the way down to sort of your pubic bone. That entire core area is just worked. And that is really helpful during open water season, open water swimming, Jim, as you know, because it's so dynamic. You get pushed around a lot, and it's really easy just to sort of let your body go to mush, right? So core strength, butterfly kicking on your back, and then we got to build specific power. Like yesterday, I am weak. I mean, I'm a shell of who I was when I was racing back when, right?
Yeah.
And I'm out there, and I'm just getting pushed around, like just bumped around with ease, because I am a shell of what I was. I'm nowhere near as fast, and definitely nowhere near the power that I used to have. And I just couldn't cut through those, that choppiness. So we use these buoys in workout, and at this time of the season, and they fill. You take off the caps, you fill them 1 or 2 chambers with water, and we do a fair amount of pulling, especially during this phase, to build specific muscular power.
Yeah.
And to also show you that if you don't hold good body posture, your lower body is just going to sink down, especially with these on, right? So I wanted to show what these buoys look like, and you should build these into your arsenal of tools that you're using, your equipment items, and of course, tempo trainer.
Tempo trainer, yeah.
This is important in open water because we do need to develop higher cadences for open water, especially if it's dynamic like yesterday.
And it evens out the stroke, right? I have some athletes who use the tempo trainer when they're running, to really even out the running stride. Because if you're compensating, if you're imbalanced some way, if you're not on top of the cadence, which that promotes with our swimming, that's not only going to lead to less fluidity, but might lead to injuries eventually, right? So if you're on it, boom, 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 right arm, left arm, right arm, left arm, you're evening out that stroke and you're balancing out the stress on the body, left side to right side.
Yep. Now, one of the things that a tempo trainer does do that we have to be sort of mindful of with open water swimming, the beeps are equidistant apart in time, right? So if it's one beep every half a second, as an example, it'll just be the timing, the spatial, the amount of time between each beep is exactly the same. But in open water, it's encouraged actually to have a loping type of stroke, which is an uneven stroke.
Yeah.
So you don't actually have to match beep for beep. You just got to make sure that every 2 beeps, your one hand is entering or exiting the water, wherever you want to measure the beeping to keep up with it. So it doesn't have to be each hand for each beep.
But it just keeps you honest with it. Do you think? So I see you have the form goggles there too.
Yeah.
Do you think the form goggles are good to use in racing? It gives you enough eyesight or sight when you're doing that sighting to see the buoys, or would you suggest a different goggle that gives you a little more field of vision? What do you think?
I haven't used the form goggle yet in a race. I have used it in an open water practice, and I liked it. I mean, I think that what is it called? Whatever, there's something skill, and you have to
navigation.
You have to move your head around and get it all set up well. I think it's good.
Yeah,
I think it's really good, and it's a wonderful tool to have. I don't know what else is out there. There are probably 1 or 2 other products, I'm sure, that may be competing with form. But again, your question, if you expand the question out broader, does using tools help us to accomplish something that we want to accomplish? And in this case, the answer is yes. It does help you navigate more efficiently, right? More effectively. Swim straighter, so therefore you're going to swim less. So yes, it would be helpful to use it. Sure.
Besides the form, is there a pair of goggles that you suggest are good for open water that you know of?
I only have personal experience of what I have used, and I've tended to go with lower profile goggles, meaning that the depth of the goggle away from your eye is tighter, and the goggle is not really big, because the water is so dynamic. The bigger the goggle, the larger the chance of it getting knocked off. Okay.
Yeah, you see some athletes, they go crazy with it. They have these huge
the old SEAL mask.
And you're right. I mean, your arm hits it. The waves or the chop has its way with you. So you don't want something that's going to be way far away. I've been using the Arena Triathlon goggle lately.
Oh, perfect. Good.
Because before that, I was using the Tyr Nest goggle for years, and I was just set in my way.
Yep.
And I always had a kind of a tough time seeing when I looked up the site. It just wasn't a great field of vision. I switched over to this Arena, and no sponsorship or anything here, but this is just what I've been using the last couple of years, and I just have a great field of vision in this thing. And it doesn't fog up.
I find most of the manufacturers have similar goggles. They're all made out of the same plant, and they just have their name on it. So all the major manufacturers almost have the same goggle. But when you just talk about, rather than a label of a name, Speedo, Arena, Tier, whatever it is, for me, it's sort of the design. It's more about a lower profile. And a lower profile means the goggle away from your eye is not very far away from it. And it doesn't take up much volume and breadth. So those seal goggles or seal masks, or more sort of scuba diving type masks that were used a long time ago, they're comfortable because they just fit over your entire face, but they're also going to get knocked off, especially if you're in any type of more dynamic environment. So,
all right, great. So you want to get to the workout of the episode? Where are we at here?
I know you want to get there, but I want to talk about something really quickly. I know you've been moving me along. I know we got to get going.
It's your schedule. I'm here just entertaining.
So I watched Katie Ledecky, as we talked about a month ago, right? Break the world record in the 800 freestyle. I went and watched the video a couple of times. And this is a record that she set, I believe, in 2017-ish. It could have been 2018, but 708-year-old record, 803. And she finally went 804, and she finally went faster, okay? A month ago at the U.S. Nationals. Very, very exciting. Some are fastest 400 freestyle, also 356. Well, she was winning the 800 and the 1500 freestyles by anywhere from 10 to 15 seconds in the 800 to 30 seconds to 40 seconds in the mile, okay?
Yeah.
So she's excited. I'm excited for her. And tremendous performance a month ago. Katie's 27, 28. Summer McIntosh comes along.
Summer McIntosh.
Summer McIntosh. Great name, isn't it?
Great, yeah.
Canadian girl, 17, 18 years old. And Summer goes 804 in the 800 last week.
Breathing down her neck.
1/2 a second-ish to a second-ish off Katie Ledecky's world record that she set 2 weeks prior.
Jeez.
So
can't settle.
Right? Right? And Summer also broke the world record in the 200 IM, 400 IM. What does that mean? It's 200 IM is 50 meters of butterfly, 50 meters of backstroke, breaststroke, and freestyle. So this is a very versatile athlete. Very, very young. So I spent some time yesterday reviewing both athletes. Katie is 6 feet tall, and I'm guessing Katie's a big girl. She's big in the sense of she is muscularly built. I'm guessing. I have no idea. 160, 165 pounds?
Yeah.
And Summer McIntosh is 5'7", 5'8", and leaner, so her weight is going to be less. Interestingly, Katie Ledecky swims 39 or 40 strokes per length. That's the number of single-arm strokes it takes her to cover one length of the pool in a 50-meter pool.
50 meters, right?
39, 40 strokes a length. At a cadence rate, that is the speed the arms turn over, at approximately 88 strokes a minute. So 38, 39, she's 6 feet tall, right? 39, 40 strokes, to get across the pool in the 800, and 88 stroke cadence. Towards the end of the 800, she got up to 100 strokes a minute, the last 25 meters. She started climbing up with 50 meters to go, 90, 92, 94, 96, 98, ended up 100 strokes a minute. Interestingly, McIntosh, 5'8", 5'7", 5'8", she's several inches shorter, right? 4 inches shorter. Leaner, 37 strokes a length.
So
more efficient.
3 to 4 strokes less.
That's a lot at that level. That's almost, that's 7 to 8%.
Yeah.
Okay. 88 strokes a minute also. Able to get up to 94, 95. Interestingly, with 100 meters to go in the 800, they were equal. Katie Ledecky swam her last 100 a second faster. So that was the second difference. It just all in the last 100. So where am I going with this? 37 strokes a length, that's a measure of efficiency. How many strokes it takes you to cover the distance, how efficient you are. 37 for Summer McIntosh, 5'8", lean athlete. Katie, 6 feet tall, bulkier athlete, much more muscular, 39, 40 strokes a length. My observations of Katie Ledecky swimming is her lower body is a tad too low in the water, Tad too low in the water. That's
leading to the
possibly, I think there's another stroke to be had off of her 39 or 40 to become slightly more efficient. Remember, guys, unless you're totally flat in the water with head, butt, and heels always at the surface, anything less than that, where the body is slightly sunk or any part of the body is downward, swimming is all about overcoming resistance, drag. So Katie has more drag because she also has a larger spatial volume. She's a taller athlete and she's a broader athlete. So she has more space to work with, more resistant.
That,
you would know that.
All about that.
More resistance to overcome. So I think we're setting up for some exciting races in the next.
Got some competition.
In the next,
you see those. It's great to see her win by 15 seconds, but I like to see a little head-to-head match.
So this is going to be. It's going to be good. I know that little nerdy part there with all the numbers, but triathletes love.
Well, it's interesting.
Numbers.
That's where Katie can look at that, come from that growth mindset, and say, Summer's 4 strokes more efficient than I am. What's she doing different than I'm doing? I have to get it down, and she will do that. That's the kind of athlete she is.
And I think the way to observe this as an observer, when you look at these races, you have the overhead camera angle, you want to look to see where the water level resides on their back. Meaning, the lower down the water level, if the water level resides on your upper back, it means between your shoulder blades downwards is underwater. Not good. So you'll always find good swimmers, the water level resides way lower down. You will find that Summer McIntosh's water level is way lower than Katie Ledecky's water level. And that's where the resistance problem is coming up. And Katie's a bigger...
So say that again. If they're less efficient, where is the water hitting their back?
Higher up. So you're super efficient swimmers who have higher body postures or higher body positions in the water. Their body resides higher, closer to the surface or at the surface of the water.
Body, not just the top end.
Their entire body.
Okay.
So you'll see we call it the dry back. Their entire back is almost dry. There's no water on it. So you'll see the water level like right at their swimsuit line, on your hip or waist level. And then sometimes you'll see as swimmers get tired, the body starts sinking just a half inch in the water. As you sink more, it's more resistance. Yeah. That's all it is. And swimming is about overcoming resistance, right? You have this dense medium.
Hydrodynamic is what we called it in trigonometry class.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you got it.
There you go. Get efficient, learn from the best, and just watch a YouTube video, then go swim like that. Just take it right in there, Case, and score. In college, I think I told this story before. In college, my roommate Casey, we played ice hockey, and his mom would always be like, Casey, she'd come to the game. She'd, Casey, why don't you just take the puck and just go in there and score. Just go do it. Just go score.
That easy.
And Casey would say, Mom, because there's 5 other guys whose moms are saying, hey, just don't let Casey score. Don't let Casey come in. Same thing in YouTube. Just watch Katie Ledecky swim and then just go do it. It's that easy.
Well, it's going to be...
Watch Coach Gerry swim. Just go do it.
It's going to be exciting, the next few races.
There you go. Fun times. All right, what's next on your list? I'm on your schedule, so what do you want to do next?
Well, you've been asking for it for the last 10
I'm waiting. I love the open water, or the race-ready open water skill-building phase, because it's just all these workouts are just fun. I mean, there's always something changing. There's always dynamic environment.
So here's our workout.
It keeps you engaged the whole way.
So here's our workout.
Here's the workout of the episode, coaching.tower26.com. You can see the workout of the episode. You can follow all the workouts we do here. And they're race ready to get you race ready, performance prepared, and fresh to your bike is what we like to say.
That's the key thing.
And by the looks of, and I don't know, you get the screen up here, the looks of our bike times on course from our athletes as of late, it is working, because we are having some amazing bike efforts.
John Mulcahy, excellent bike.
59 years old. He went 2:33 on the bike at Coeur d'Alene, which is a tough course. So
good.
And that's happening across the world right now with our athletes. They're going into these races and having great swims, but coming out as fresh as could be on the bike. So it's working, Jerry.
All right, so here we are. If you look in the top right corner, you'll see there's a blue button called Summary Workout, Jim, right?
Yep.
And if you just clicked on that, what it does is all of these videos that I'm scrolling by here that you're seeing. So if you're looking at the YouTube, you'll see a number of videos in here. Those will, if you just clicked on Summary, it collapses those videos, so you wouldn't see them. See, I click on it right now, it turned to full workout, and the videos are gone, right?
So you can see all the videos, all the description, or you can close it down and not see all that and just see what the workout is.
Exactly. And one of the important videos in here is this one that we just showed, right?
There's a sighting video.
There's that sighting video. So important to watch, and this is done in a super dynamic environment, because this is done in an endless pool. There's the high head lift right there, as you can see, right? Lift, look, breathe. Lift, look, breathe. Okay, enough of that. Now let's get into this workout, so I'll collapse it.
So this is a workout we've done a lot of times on this show, but you've changed it a little bit for the the race ready phase.
I made a modification yesterday to this. So if you notice, there are 4 segments to it. You start off, there's an easy effort, 70-ish%.
This is what we typically call the Mambo set.
Mambo.
You guys have heard of the Mambo set. If you've been a listener for a long time, you've heard of the Mambo set, but you've put some tweaks in here.
Some tweaks in this. So you have an easy swim to start off. It's either 100 or 75, depending on your level. Effort is low. And then we go to an 80% effort of a longer distance, something that takes, and I'll talk about the modification we made. about 5 minutes long is what we did yesterday, okay? And that's 80% effort. Then you come back and you swim easy again for that 100 or 75, easy, total recovery, and then high octane, fast. So it's easy, moderate, 80%, easy, fast, easy, moderate, easy, fast. And what I did with this workout, as we scroll through, you'll notice it was a 600 at 80%, then down below a 500 at 80%, then a 400, then a 300, then a 200, as I'm scrolling through for you guys. I varied this and created just one middle distance, or one distance that was 5 minutes long. So we went 100 easy, a 400 at 80%, 100 easy, 100 fast, bracket that several cycles through. But here's where we made the modification. On the 5 minute swims, Jim, we built in 1 to 2 sites every length. So we swim in a 25-yard pool. So that was a minimum of 16 sites to 32 sites, just in that one 400, right?
Yep.
And then they have to deck up at the end. So you hit the wall and you stand up, get that heart rate spike. Adaptation for running to T1, right?
Yep.
Then they hop back in, swim an easy 100 recovery, and then on the fast 100, and we showed that earlier at the fast 100, the video I showed of the guys with their sighting, that was their fast 100, and on the fast 100, we sighted 3 times per 25. So there were 12 sights on the fast 100. Now, we did this 4 rounds through. I was trying to get 5 rounds in, we ran out of time. But we did it 4 rounds through. If you sighted twice per 25, Jim, on the 400, that's 32 sites, and then 12 on the 100, right? What's 32 plus 12? That's 46,
I don't
right?
know. I don't do math.
44?
Yeah.
44 times, and we did 4 rounds. That's 88 times 2, right?
That's a lot of
That's
sighting.
all right, right.
That's a
176
yeah,
sites.
That's a lot of time bringing that dome out of the water.
In that workout, as opposed to showing up on race day and saying, hey, let me get some sights in.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and that's the thing. How much your head weigh? 12 pounds? Europe head with all that brain. So adding in that race-specific elements to this set, it makes it so beneficial and worthwhile. All right, is that all we got?
Yep.
Okay, go to coaching@tower26.com for the details of that workout. Follow along all those details, do exactly what we're doing. Jared, before we go, I want to welcome an athlete to the, what would you call it? The aging athlete category. I want to welcome a professional athlete to the aging, and that athlete is Lionel Sanders. Lionel Sanders announced last week that he hurt his glute. Right? He thinks he has a stress fracture in his glute. And as you know, the aging athlete, we can't get away with imbalances. Maybe when we're below 35, 34 and below, you have a hitch in your giddy up, you can get away with it. Your joints adapt, your muscles adapt as you come up, and those imbalances are in your running stride, your swim stroke, your pedal stroke. Your body starts to tell you you have an imbalance, and it starts to pipe up. You can't get away with that stuff anymore.
Didn't he have a giddy up in his run?
Jerry, I've been saying it for years. This guy's got to smooth out his run. This is the first year. His run actually looks smoother than it's ever been. But I think all the years of the hitch he had in that giddy up is coming to bite him in the literal ass and causing this tweak that he has in his glute and possibly a stress fracture. This is what happens as we get older as athletes, right? That strength work, that balance work, the core work that we're talking about all the time, it becomes so crucial to evening out your running stride, your swim stroke, your pedal stroke, that if you have that imbalance, you have one side working harder than the other, putting more stress on that side, your body's going to tell you. You can't get away with it anymore.
So are you delivering a message here to Mr. Sanders?
I'm delivering a message to all of our athletes out there as we get older. It's not about how hard you're going to work, it's how smart we're going to work, right?
Got it.
If you think that, you have one side working harder than the other, or your left side is just following the lead of your right side. Your non-dominant side is not as engaged. Whether you're lifting weights, you're playing ice hockey, or you're running, we got to make sure that we deliver the best machine possible to do the work. And if you're turning a blind eye to something that's imbalanced, or that's weaker, or that's overly strong, that's tighter because of that, you're going to lead, maybe not right now when you're 35 and under, but it's going to lead to some issues as you become an older athlete. Those joints are a little more seasoned. Those muscles are a little more seasoned. Your skeletal system starts to, maybe break down a little bit. You're going to start to feel it. So think about your movement patterns, how you're moving within our activities, no matter what your activity is. I know a lot of ice hockey players listen to this podcast because of yours truly.
Of course.
Think about those imbalances.
And now football players.
And football players, exactly. Think about your imbalances, and maybe you have to see a physical therapist once a week to help deal with your imbalances. We have several athletes, they don't have anything going on. They still still go to see a PT once a week just to help with imbalances that could be popping up. So head it off of the past. Think about, see video of your swim stroke, see video of your running stride, watch yourself on the bike and say, hey, you know what, I do look like I'm leading with my right arm, or I do have a little kink in my, a little tipping of the hips one way or another, because we don't want to go down that road of a stress fracture eventually. Learn from Lionel in the video that he put out there that, hey, I watched this guy run for years, and you see this loping stride and you say, he can get away with it now, but fast forward 5 years, that's going to come to bite him in the ass.
I like it. Good.
So let's even out those imbalances. You have questions on that, write me, Jim at tower26.com. Keep sending your videos in, Gerry at tower26.com for those swim analysis videos. What do you got?
Gerry with a G.
Gerry with a G. Gerry at tower26.com.
So I want to lay the foundation just so you guys know what it's like for us sitting behind here. So there's a camera, there's a big screen in front of us where we can see ourselves. And that screen is about at eye level for us, right? Mm-hmm. But the camera sits another 1.5 feet above that screen. And I find myself not looking at that camera a lot. I look more at the screen, which is not the place I should be looking,
well, you're
right?
a good-looking man. You want to see yourself.
I want to see myself, yeah. But Jim, I don't know why I haven't been doing this all along. Right in the background, behind the camera, at this perfect angle, is this stunning photo of you and your wife.
Yeah.
In Tahiti, maybe?
That's Tahiti, yeah.
I mean, it is, of course, I noticed her first.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this is a gorgeous, gorgeous photo. Now I know where to look, so I keep looking at the camera rather than I find myself always looking downward a bit.
But
that is just
with the shirt off. Come on. I mean, I think I should be doing this show with the shirt off.
I mean, and you're in your thong Speedo up there, too? I mean, that is...
God, obviously. That's the only thing I own is thong Speedo. So there you go. That's our eye line from now on.
I like it.
But, okay. A lot covered in this show. What are we going to talk about next episode, Jerry?
Well, we're going to go into some of the details of tactics. Racing tactics.
There you go.
What you need to do, when you need to do it, how you need to do it.
This is always fun. I'd like to thank Dark Mark. Dark Mark just commented, thanks for making triathlon great again. So we have some listeners commenting on our YouTube. And
wait a minute. That's a line stolen from somewhere, I think.
I've heard it before. So I think we're going to make the hats and, those big red hats with the white lettering. Make triathlon great again. Thank you, Dark Mark, for that. So, all right, guys. So for Gerry Rodriguez, Jim Binsky, the Tower 26 Be Race Ready podcast, thanks for listening. Listen to the audio, watch the video, and keep enjoying.